Finally watched Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Here are my thoughts. I watched every single Mission Impossible movie leading up to this film's release, and I think it was definitely worth it. And I think as a franchise conclusion and as a part 2, this worked really well. Fairly above Dead Reckoning in terms of storytelling, writing, especially structure-wise. The film, of course, follows Ethan and his team trying to still chase after the entity, find its source code, and kill it once and for all. I think where this film succeeds, besides the action of it, is in its structure and its pacing. This film is a lot more serious than the previous entry, Dead Reckoning, and I think that allows for a lot better writing and natural dialogue between the characters, besides I guess exposition, because of course that's going to be unnatural, allowing for some good character moments and yeah, some expected emotional moments that I thought were quite good. Mission objectives is set from the very beginning and all the points along the way, making things I think a lot clearer than the previous entry, which I thought was somewhat of a convoluted start in Dead Reckoning. For an almost 3-hour long movie, I thought the pacing was surprisingly good. I was a little worried when I heard that the first hour was kind of boring, but I didn't think that was the case. That was interesting setup and helped us learn a lot more about the entity and its goal. Like parts of what they did with the subversion of the main villain from the first film, Gabriel. While I still think part of his character is still kind of just this maniacal villain that's somewhat one note, I think what he's trying to get out of Ethan Hunt and his team this time around is a little bit smarter than the first film. Works better with the plot. While I think the team is a little bit less strong this time around, I think their portion of the film is something I did enjoy. The team ultimately being led by Simon Pegg's character Benji, which is my favorite character in the franchise. Another thing that comes with this film's structure is Ethan Hunt's almost on his own the entire time. And I did like that split. I think there is some complaints that can come from that because of course the Ethan Hunt stuff is a little bit more interesting than the team stuff. But they do both work in tandem, and the parts where it's switching back and forth in a scene between the two sides is some of the best parts of the movie, particularly around the end of the submarine scene. Speaking of that scene, I thought it could have been its own third act. It was so good. It lasted so long in a good way. For me, it's a top 3 action set piece in the entire franchise. 2 main ones of the film are the submarine scene and, of course, this plane scene. When they were advertising the film initially, and this was supposed to be the big stunt, I was somewhat underwhelmed, which is crazy to say now that I've seen the film, because what he does on this plane and on multiple planes at the same time is insane. I think this film ended up, especially this scene, reminded me a lot of the best parts of Fallout. Fallout is one of my favorite entries in the entire franchise. One surprising part of this film, which I thought was pretty good, was the utilization of Angela Bassett's character from Fallout as the President of the United States, which I think really helped to showcase the international and also U.S. threat of this entity. We cut back to it a lot in the film, and these people who are advising her and telling her to do this and not do this, I think it really showcases the threat as all the spy stuff is going on at the same time, of what something like this could do. And of course, it's not like the most realistic representation of it all, but I think it led to another perspective that was somewhat needed. No spoilers, but I think the way this film ends does leave somewhat of a satisfying conclusion, but also a door open, which is not preferable for me. I think it was a cool scene. I think it was a cool way to end the movie. If you're going all out saying, oh, this is the final Ethan Hunt mission, you got to trust him this one last time, I think it could have been handled a little bit better. All in all, I really enjoyed this film. Also, seeing it in IMAX is the only way to see